We've gone years in the UK without using the right tools for the job. Long gone are the days of a razor blade in the mirror. No more shall we look like Sideshow Bob down there. Manscaped have redesigned the electric trimmer. Their engineering team have perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer created and have just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 in the UK. Their third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents because nobody wants a bloodbath in the bathroom. Did I tell you it's got waterproof technology so you can dim those lights, get yourself in the shower and groom to your heart's content? Whatever you do, however you do it with Manscaped's Lawnmower 3.0, and don't forget you can get 20% off and free delivery with the code TT. Manscaped.com. Make your testes their besties. Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to another Talking Town presentation. I am your host, Martin The Guv Lambert, and it's Monday, the 9th of August. I know that date. It's my wedding anniversary, and I'm here with you. As I won't say what. Well, they say they called you retrobates off air, and I said no. The great people of Talking Town, the royalty that is the Ipswich Town fans. I just couldn't resist an evening with you all instead of an evening with my good lady wife. So I'm in the doghouse. I'm sleeping right here on the sofa tonight. So we might as well make this stream as long as we possibly can. Welcome in. Busy day. Every time I looked at my phone, something else was going off. It was excitement. It was pulsating. It was on a wedding anniversary. There's a pun somewhere there, guys. And yeah, what a time to be alive as an Ipswich Town fan. So busy was I this evening. We rushed in from our lovely romantic meal out. I set some shows up. So busy was I that I called one of our new players, Carl Walker, for the eagle-eyed people among you. Well done. You may have caught that slip. That'll be on our no context account, no doubt. Born because we're so huge. EN. Right. Ryan would like a link. Oh, Jeremy would like a link. Okay, Jeremy, I'll make sure a link is put in there for you this evening. Joining us on today's show, two wonderful people. First of all, we have our regular contributor, Ben, who'll be with us very shortly. And secondly, the most opinionated man apparently in English football. No, not Matt Phillips. I know. That's going to surprise you a bit, isn't it? That is his own words on his Twitter bio. I'll let you know that. So it is, of course, our Midlands reporter, Chris Hall, joining us to tell us all about our new signings. First of all, while I catch a breath, let's get a few comments from the floor. Jason Klein, Edwards is more a prospect with potential resale than Jacobs. This was a good decision, again, by Ashton and Cook, of course, referring to Jacobs, that the deal was on and then it was off. Much to the annoyance of Portsmouth FC. Oh, how we love pissing them off this summer, it seems. Robert Smith, I can't understand how we're going to play all the strikers we are signing. No, that is an interesting one. We will get into that. Colin Plum, Mr. Ashton, a truly amazing, serious guy. Glad to see him go. You, Robbins, come on, tell the truth. Yes, obviously when he arrived, a lot of negativity about Mark Ashton from Bristol City fans, not from us. Bristol City fans. So far, though, he's absolutely killed it. Right, let's bring in Ben, because Ben, I'm sure, has been keeping a much better eye on things as I have done today. Here he is with intro. Our very own Milk Tray Man, since given the nickname Milk Tray Man, he has stopped wearing black. Ben.
Oh, stop it, Mr. Ashton. Now you're just taking the piss. Oh, Fantastic. What a day. I can't keep up. Every time I turn on my phone, I'm getting pings. I've got celebration. I've got 3 litres of Jack Daniels. I said I'd drink a drink every time he signed a player. So as you can see, we're about a third full. And when we get that centre back, that's where the celebration's going to be. I've also got a little tribute to the Pompey fans out there. Just a little bit of that for you. Yeah, no problems at all. A fantastic day to be a Town supporter. Wow.
Can you just chuck a little bit over your left shoulder now, just because the
is that enough? Is that enough salt for the saltiness?
Well, not for Portsmouth, no, but that's it. I've always been taught as a kid, if you spit a bit of salt, get it over your left shoulder ASAP, son. Can't be jinxing this playoff promotion year. Class Ben says, Ryan, who is this Carl Edwards? Asked Jeremy Lowe. Well, I'm glad you've asked. We've got somebody coming in very shortly to be telling us. James 94 Woods, loving the fact we are building a complete squad, not just having one player in each position. Brandon, another few good signings. Harper and Evans didn't miss one of their switch of plays on the weekend. Let's hope Coulson pushes Penny and the last ball is better into the pig. Before I bring Chris in to bring us his Carl Edwards thoughts, what are your thoughts ahead of hearing what Chris has got to say?
I'm just really excited. One of the things that's really coming across is not just the fact that we're signing good players, just the fact that we're having kind of 2 players in every position. And one of obviously the massive drawbacks, and one of my drawbacks for the last couple of seasons, was the fact that the injuries that we have and this curse that have befallen us, as soon as one of our first team players gets injured, we're putting on like under 18s, we're putting on the Drinnans, we're getting the Hawkins in. So at least now we can say when our players get injured, and they will because it's a long, tough season in League One, it's actually being replaced by someone who's equivalent or arguably better. So that 2 players in every position is absolutely crucial. Any other team, they signed half of it. So they get 6 good signings in, half of the signings we've done. They're thinking, wow, what a fantastic transfer window. Since Ashton's been in, I think with the amount of days he's been in, I read somewhere that we've now got a player in for every 5 days he's been at the club. This is everything we've dreamed of. The one last thing we need is that centre-back, the one last piece of the jigsaw, and then you're building. Then you're building.
Well, absolutely. And who knows, maybe West Brom or a link that Ashton's got in the Midlands has, a centre-back going free, because one more appearance for this man, the most opinionated man in English football, and he gets an intro like every contributor. That's how many times we've gone to him this summer. Awesome. It's, of course, Chris Hall. Chris,
hey, Chris.
The colour, the guys and girls at home may not. The comments may get a little bit feisty, but he's a friend of the show. Tell us, this is your, 3rd appearance now?
The 3rd appearance, yeah. Not only am I more opinionated than Matt Phillips, but I'm actually on an Ipswich Town pod more than Matt Phillips.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
there you go.
That's true.
You wouldn't have thought you'd have an Albion fan on this much, but it's almost like you've got a CEO who used to work for West Bromwich Albion.
Yes. So is that really, because a lot can be made of past CVs and things, but so you really feel he's going into that West Brom contact book and deep
not
diving?
necessarily, because the club's changed a great deal since then. Obviously, we've got different owners in. Back then, it was Paul Thompson, Jeremy Peace. Now we've obviously got the Chinese owners. God forbid. Please, there's the door. Use it. Don't let it hit you on the arse on the way out. But I think he will know a lot of the youth team staff who obviously have brought through the likes of Harper and Edwards. And I would be very, very shocked if a call hadn't been put into to people like Mark Harrison, Steve Hopcroft, and guys like that who will know these players incredibly well, to ask what they're all about and what their thoughts are. In terms of, you're getting mugged there, Gov.
I always do. Here he is. He's the real star of the show, this one.
In terms of Edwards, what you've got, I mean, it's an interesting one. Hi, Colin, by the way. Love you very much as well, sir. It's an interesting one because, again, a little bit like I said about Harper, there was a bit of a split in the Albion fans when a number thought he shouldn't be getting let go on a free, because he played a decent part in our promotion 2 seasons ago. 26 league appearances isn't to be sniffed at in the Championship. I'll come on to caveat that in a little bit, because it's not quite as it would seem. But he showed up very well. Obviously, there's also the extra love for one of our own. He's a Dudley boy, you know, and you always want to see guys coming through your academy doing very, very well. So there's always a lot. It's a lot more heart wrenching when players like that leave. I said the first time I was on when you signed Harper that Harper was part of a group that Albion fans thought were going to be the future of the club. Now, one of the players I mentioned on that list was Kyle Edwards. It was Harper, Edwards, Sam Field, who's gone to Queen's Park Rangers, Nathan Ferguson, who left of his own volition to go to Crystal Palace. You know, so there was this thinking that this really talented group of players coming through the youth system was going to be the future of the club. It hasn't quite panned out that way.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. But, I mean, in terms of Edwards... I think that to a certain extent, he's been a victim of our success. He was completely marginalised last season in the Premier League. Five appearances, all of them came before November. He wasn't trusted at all by Allardyce. As of the end of January, Allardyce didn't even put him on the bench, let alone give him any minutes on the pitch. So. It's a difficult one for him, but he did play a big part at the start of the Championship campaign. He scored on the opening day against Nottingham Forest, an excellent goal. He'd broken in the season before when Jimmy Shan took over from Darren Moore. Jimmy Shan, obviously having managed the Albion youth teams, knew Carl extremely well, trusted him in an away game at Brentford, which nobody expected to see Carl in the squad, let alone in the starting 11. And he weaved through their entire defence to score a wonderful, wonderful winning goal. So, I mean, look up those two goals on YouTube. They're both fantastic, and they show what Carl's about. He is such a tricky player. He's got good feet. He's a guy who gets you off your seat, but the problem with him, particularly at the Albion, was as the season went on in the Championship, and obviously as we were going for promotion, he's not consistent. He doesn't turn it in for 90 minutes. I said there was a caveat. He made 26 appearances. In 24 of them, he was either subbed on or subbed off. So he completed 2 90 minutes. In the whole of that season. What that shows me is that coaches don't trust him for 90 minutes and that they don't believe they can get a 90-minute performance out of him. Of course, that's at Championship level. No disrespect, but this is League One level. It is a different kettle of fish.
It's true.
But there was that problem. And if you look at his appearances that season, it's a lot towards the start of the season. As we got into the business end of the season, they get less and less and less. Now, partly that was down to the bodies that we had in the building at the time, because Pereira had adjusted to English football very well by that point. We also brought in Callum Robinson and Kamil Grzycki in January. Dean Garner had come back from injury at that point. So there's a lot of options in Edwards' position, which made life difficult for him. But there was that element where he was not trusted to turn in a performance for 90 minutes. And watching him, I can tell you that he doesn't really do that. But what he does do when he's at it is he's a nightmare. In terms of positionally, certainly where he played for us, he generally was a left-sided wide man, but not in any way going to get chalk on his boots. He's right-footed.
Oh, okay.
He comes in on that right foot. Kyle, from my viewing of him, is not a guy who's going to get to the line and whipping crosses. This is a guy that is going to come in and generally his attacks seem to end with a shot a lot of the time. He needs to get his goal contribution numbers up. As I said, 26 appearances in that Championship season, only 3 goal contributions. One of which was the most horrendous dive to win a penalty in the last minute at Preston. Which God only knows how he got away with, and then 2 goals on top of that. So he needs to get those numbers up, but he is terrifying, and he was terrifying for defenders at Championship level. So
is he a player that rather than goes down to the byline and crosses in, he's actually one that will cut in from the midfield to surprise, say, the centre forward or shot on goal? Would you say?
Yeah. I mean, he's not a guy who. I mean, he scored one long range effort against Forest, but I mean the keeper had crisp packets for hands that day, and it went through him. It was Muric, the keeper on loan from Man City. He had a horrendous debut. He let a cross over his head from Matt Phillips as well. He's not a thunderbolt of a striker of a ball. He's much more likely to try and beat 3 or 4 players in the box. As I say, he needs some coaching. Because his decision making, and he's so good at getting into that final third position, because players end up with their legs on the opposite way round after they've tried to tackle him. He turns players inside and out. But
it's just that final, because I'm thinking 3 goals from midfield. Just what Mike D's saying now. That's like some kind of dream
3
for
goal
us.
Contributions, only 2 scored.
Well, that's still fantastic for us. What we had last season, we'll take it. But it's interesting. So you're saying that he's a player that will play better with good players around him. That's his key. I
think he can. I think he can do a lot of it himself. I think a lot of his success will come down to Cook to a point. I think he needs coaching. But the other thing he needs is that I think because he's such an impact player, he's been used quite sparingly because of what he is, and because, like I say, we were a team going for promotion at the top end of the Championship, and then we were a bottom end Premier League team. We couldn't take risks on a guy in that position that
makes sense.
Wasn't consistent, and also that we possibly thought we had more consistent options than. Carl was always going to be a 20, 30-minute player. What Cook needs to do is, I think Cook needs to make him understand what it means to be a 90-minute player, because the expectation was never on Kyle to deliver for 90 minutes. The one time I really saw him get at a team for 90 minutes was against Newcastle in the Cup, when the pressure was completely off, and he just went out and played his game, and I thought he was absolutely fantastic for us. But it was, fourth round of the FA, it might have been the third round. Third round of the FA Cup is largely meaningless to a team at the bottom end of the Premier League. All we were interested in was trying to finish 17th in the division. Couldn't give us, and the team selection backed up what we were doing. And he was brilliant that day. He was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I think he needs to learn how to be a 90-minute footballer. But that comes from playing 90-minute games. I think he needs a good environment around him as well, because he needs players to maintain standards around him, because, as I say, he is an inconsistent player. He can be brilliant, but he can also be largely anonymous. So I think a lot comes down to Cook, but also the environment that he's building at Ipswich, which, you'll know the other players that he's brought in better than me, but it does seem like he's bringing in decent characters as well as decent players.
I'm kind of hoping what you were saying, that that you're saying that he put in that really great performance when the pressure was off. And essentially for him, I would say that in a way, well, arguably the pressure is a bit off. He's in the front doors at the beginning of a project, so nobody has any real expectations of him. He hasn't been one of our kind of long-term targets. Everyone's been kind of building and building and building. So I think maybe in an environment where he's not only dropping down the league, where he will obviously, his talents will elevate themselves naturally, but the fact he's actually at the beginning of a project with zero expectation, I'm hoping might give him that kind of time to flourish, because what you don't want to be doing is coming into a team in January who are gunning for the top 2 or the top 6, because like you say, when you're at the bottom of the Premiership, you can't be fucking around with that position, because one mistake loses you games, those games lose you a league. So I'm really hoping that, let's say between now and Christmas, he gets, I don't know, 15, 18 starts, consistently grows. And I really take your point about the coaching. We're all kind of hoping the same thing. We saw a kind of a team of strangers on the weekend, but very good strangers coming together. So all our hopes are on the quality of the coaching and how quickly he can gel the players. And if he can slot in that lovely role, which we desperately need slotting into, I think he could be a great player. I really hope so. I've just seen the interview. He comes across as a nice chap.
Yeah, in answer to Mike's question, by the way, there, Heart says yes, Head says no. In terms of would I liked him to stay at West Brom? Look, he wouldn't have fitted into Valérien Ismaël's style of play. I'm always sad when homegrown players leave the club, but in reality, was he going to get game time? No. Was it the best thing for him to stay? Absolutely not. Is he the type of player that we need? No. And he's better off. He's better off at Ipswich. I think the other thing, to your point as well, is that I think there will be an element of a reality check here for Carl. Not saying he's an arrogant lad. He doesn't come across that at all. But I don't think he expected to be in League One. He was on trial at Bournemouth 10 days ago. I think he probably would have expected to have got a contract there. He was heavily linked with a move to Celtic. He probably was expecting to be playing, in front of huge crowds at Parkhead and in Europe if they qualify, etc., etc. I think, with the best will in the world, I think the fact that he's going to be going to Morecambe and Accrington Stanley this season is probably going to be a little bit of a shock to his system.
I see that as a good thing. Look, if you want to develop as a player, if you want those 90 minutes, you've got to earn them. And if you're not going to earn them in League One, you're not going to earn it anywhere above that, certainly. So I think, great, a young man with a point to prove, brilliant. Then prove the point, and say to, my parent club, look at what I'm doing every single week at the Accringtons, at the, all these teams down where we are. I'm really actually quite that's good, because that's usually the crossroad point between potentially really good players. There's always that argument we've had in our team that some of our players, our midfielders, were actually so good that they would actually do better in a higher position, in a higher league, in a higher division, which is rubbish. I say if you can't do it at this level, you're not going to do it at the level above. So if we can be, just for him, a staging area, a sort of solid ground point, brilliant. It benefits both of us, and I really hope for the best for him.
Well, and he knows with EFL football as well what he's letting himself in for, because he's obviously played quite a few times in the Championship, but he also had a loan at Exeter a few years back when he was 20, I think it was. And again, he was a young man at the time, and I think they were going for promotion that year, and he was actually used relatively sparingly again from the bench. Nobody has ever really trusted him to kind of start games with some regularity, which I do hope you do. I mean, off the bench, he is going to be frightening for you guys. I mean, at League One level, he is so tricky. I mean, he will come on if you bring him on last half an hour of a game. He will just take people on. He will turn them inside out. As I say, if you play him off, I'll be interested to see where Cook plays him, because if you play him off the left, he'll be coming in on that right hand side and trying to get his shot away. But what Cook has really got to get out of him is a consistent end product, because nobody doubts the lad's ability with the ball at his feet. He's natural. You can see when it's natural, when somebody's got the ball and they're running with the ball at pace, and players are just terrified because they don't know what they're going to do. The problem with Kyle is that not enough does it end in a killer pass, a good ball into the box, or a shot that goes in the back of the net. And that's it's that last 5% that Cook has got to, because all the raw materials are there. You've got a lad who's physically developed now. He's extremely quick. He's had experience at Championship and Premier League level. So, he's not. It's not like with Louis Barry, for example, where you're bringing in a guy who's got 2-3 appearances at any sort of senior level. This is a guy who's got nearly 50. Most of them off the bench, I grant you, but he's been around senior football for some time. He knows what it's all about. This is not. So
he's like that. He's like that sports car on you. He's the sports car on your drive that never quite runs perfectly, but you tinker and you go for a rebuild and you send it to different garages and you just try and do it here and it just runs perfectly and it splutters and you just want to get that engine running great. I get that.
Ben loves the car analogy. He loves the car analogy. He really does. But is he like a sports car that you tinker with? Oh, Chris, you still there? Oh, I'll just drop you out. Give me a wave when you return back, Chris. It's that Midlands. Oh, he's back. There he is.
I'm back.
He's the quickest one. There we go. You're a little bit behind.
Yeah, he's as quick.
They're meant to be levelling up north, aren't they? Come on.
They're supposed to be levelling up. It's get the gerbil to go around the wheel a bit faster, Chris.
Well, Midlands,
not the country.
North of us.
It's north of the Watford Gap.
Yeah, it's north for us.
Chris, but you when you had you on for Raheem Harper, you beat him up, and then I saw him play, and I was like, wow, yeah, Chris was spot on. You're talking about Carl Edwards like this, and I'm really excited, thinking if it was right about Raheem Harper in that way, I'm looking forward to seeing Carl play. You said about Raheem though, attitude in terms of, you know, if he's on it, he's on it. When he's not, he's not. Is Carl a little bit like that as well? Does he have to find something now as a pro and to carry on the high career, or, you know? We've had players like before. Jet, for example, came down here from Arsenal. Yeah. Couldn't put it together. How do you see Kyle?
I mean, look, I'm always quick to say with lads that I don't know personally that I don't like to comment on their personality, because it's not fair on me to talk about something where I've not met them. What I would say from what I visually see on the pitch is that Kyle goes out and does what Kyle does. I don't feel like it doesn't look like an attitude thing. That's all I can say on that. I just think some days, you know, he has that first run at the fullback and it doesn't happen, and he doesn't have a plan B, or you know, he's wasted a few balls and kind of maybe his head goes drops a little bit. Yeah. I don't think he's got a bad attitude, and that it doesn't look that way. As I say, I don't know the lad personally, but it's just that consistency of delivery, and probably when you're an inconsistent player, I can imagine that, you know, if your first run or your first ball or your first shot goes pretty awry, you probably think, oh, it's going to be one of those days, not one of the days I like to have. And maybe it's I imagine it's tough. It's hard for me to say, because I have a lot of the days where my first ball goes awry, and none of the days where it all goes perfectly well. So I don't really know what it's like in that category. But
that's a fair point. Fair comment.
Definitely, my head goes when it all goes awry, and I can imagine it's like that for a lot of players. If you're,
do you think he's a player that needs to add more clubs to his bag? He needs to learn that, you know, if it's not beating the defender down the byline, it's cutting inside and developing that as a player. Because at the moment it sounds like a little bit one dimension in the sense of he's got one move, and when it can beat a fullback, it's great, and when it doesn't, he then struggles to adapt his game midway through. Is that the correct reading of the situation?
I would personally, quite like to see him learn to play on the right, and go past the fullback, and get to the byline, because there was a few times when, because of injuries, Grady got injured a couple of times in the promotion season, that and you know, the players coming off and stuff, that he ended up going out on the right. And as soon as Carl went out on the right, I'd normally be at matches with my dad, and I'd just be like, well, this is a complete waste of time, because Carl's going to do nothing on the right. Like he just doesn't like to go on the outside of players. He likes to come on the inside of players, and he's every time I've seen him play wide on the right, he's looked dreadful. It looked like a world beater at times on the left coming in, but I feel like he needs to add that string to his bow, because otherwise all players are going to do is they're going to go, if assuming you play him on the left, they're going to go, right, we'll show him down the line on his left foot, because we know he's not going to really want to use his left foot, and he doesn't want to go to the byline. We know he wants to come inside. I mean, stopping him is easier said than done, I grant you that. But no, to your point, Gov, I agree. I think he probably needs another string to his bow, because there can be, against better fullbacks, he could become a little bit predictable. But that being said, I mean, not that I'm comparing him to Arjen Robben, but everybody knows Arjen Robben wants to step inside on his left foot and have a shot. The fact that you know what he's going to do and actually stopping him from doing it are two completely different things. And I think Carl, being the level he's at in League One, I think defenders might know that he's going to come inside on that right foot, but stopping him without fouling him is going to be a whole other story.
Yeah. Oh, Ben, this player sounds, it's exciting. A bum off seat type of player, you know, a player who
I agree.
Want to rise.
I really take your points about that kind of balance. And look, there is a reason why he's dropped down to League One. If he was tearing up where you are, then of course it wouldn't even be a question. But I also kind of look at it in context of the fact that we're a League One club. You know, we are not gunning for promotion to the Premier League. We're not playing against bloody unbelievable players trying to stay in the Premier League. We're a League One club, so those kind of deficiencies, and all players have them. All players have their deficiencies, even the ones I love. I think will kind of balance out over long term in the league that we're actually in. But what can actually, and that's what I talk about, that lack of pressure. He doesn't need to be Premier League quality. He doesn't need to be 10 out of 10, 40 games out of 46 or whatever. He needs to, I would take 30 games at 7 out of 10 any day of the week, because we've had like 45 games at 4 or 5 out of 10 for years. So I will take that. We're not expecting miracles, but if good and developing, Ipswich is a very forgiving and supportive crowd to a player that develops and works hard and improves kind of, longitudinally over a season. So I think it sounds like a really good move for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I let you go on, Chris. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, to that point, I think where that's going to come from is if he gets trusted when he's having one of those bad games. That Cook basically, say it's been an hour and Kyle hasn't really troubled his fullback in the way that you'd want him to. What would have happened at the Albion is he would have been hooked. And I think what will be interesting is if Cook says, "No, I trust your ability for 90 minutes, that at some point this lad's going to get tired and you are going to absolutely turn him inside out. And just, I'm going to leave you out there. I'm going to leave you out there. And you in the end, you're going to get the better of him." That never, ever happened at Albion. Like I said, two 90 minutes in his whole, in the league, in his whole Albion career. So I think it's a level of trust. I think there's, and that's what will be interesting to see, how forgiving, because he will have those days where it's just not really happening. And it will be interesting to see how forgiving Cook is, or whether, because you've got an absolute embarrassment of riches there.
Yeah,
off the bench. It'll be interesting to see whether Cook cooks him off and brings somebody else on, because if he does, I think that could be damaging for him.
Because the interesting thing about Cook is, and I think this is a point that's kind of been missed in all of the noise and the incredible things that's kind of going on down here. Cook's, I know probably every manager in professional football wants to be in Paul Cook's thing right now. Basically, in our level, a blank checkbook to buy his squad limitless supplies. Every manager's dream, right? But the trouble is that he lost all of the games, almost all of them last year. And, we lost all of our pre-league games bar one, and we drew 1-1 at Morecambe. So his ratio of winning is not that great. Now, with the investment and that drive forward that our club has done, I said that if Cook wasn't performing and we weren't getting the best out of the squad, he would have until the other side of Christmas. And then there's going to be big questions. Because of the win ratio that Cook's actually had at the club, which has been terrible, that's come right back down. So I'm thinking in the next 10, 12 games, we need to be winning 7 or 8 or 9 of them. And I do worry that if we're going to have this, this player that wants to play without that kind of pressure, I don't want Cook to chop and change if the result's not quite going our way, because Cook is a manager under pressure. But let's make no bones about it. And I want him to kind of, if he's going to pick him, be consistent, stay the course. Don't think, holy shit, if I don't win the next 5 games out of 7, I'm out and I'm never going to have an opportunity like this ever again. I want him to just be that cool, calm and collected manager I think he can be in the club. And that imparts down to the player. If he needs 10 games of a run out and maybe 2 or 3 of them are not so good, I just hope he thinks, okay, let's just, consistent and do it and not chop and change because his job's on the line. Because he is, I would argue, probably the most under pressure manager in our league by a distance.
Yeah, and I get that because of the investment that there's been. However, I mean, Guv will tell you the first time I was on, I although I said I was very excited about what you were doing, I also called it that you'd have a poor start to the season because you don't bring in this volume of players and it just clicks immediately. I think whatever's happening with the fans, I think the reassurance needs to be there from the ownership with Paul Cook that, look, you are our man. We will see this through with you. And I think if he gets that, then that takes the pressure off that he can pick the players that he believes in. Because
hope so.
You don't bring in this volume of players and it just gels straight away. I've seen it myself working at a club, a lot of players coming in. you don't start brilliantly. It's very, very hard to do so, no matter how good the players are, because football is a team game and it takes people working together, not quality individuals.
Agreed.
That's not how you win football matches.
Very true.
So
very true.
I think it's hard to preach patience to the fans, because fans want immediate success, and if they're going to games and not seeing their team win, they're not going to be happy. But I think the from Mark Ashton and the ownership, I think there's got to be patience there.
Okay, Chris. Before I let you go, because the connection's coming in and out just as we go on, to the Town fans watching who may have left with questions after what you've said, just again reiterate the type of player they can be expecting to wear the blue and white of Ipswich Town Football Club.
An exciting one that's going to get you off your seat. I mean, look, he's a lad that is he's not a 90-minute player at the moment. Hopefully, you'll develop him into exactly that. But he's a player that will excite you. He's not one that's going to get to the byline at the moment unless you develop him into that. But he's one that's going to come off that left-hand side, and hopefully you can get that end product out of him, because that's what we didn't necessarily see enough of at the Albion. But he's an exciting young prospect, and he can be a difference maker for you in games.
And he's ours. Chris, as always, a real pleasure. Hopefully, next time I speak to you, it's about a centre half, because we're desperately going to need one, I think. But as always, a real pleasure. Speak to you soon. Bit of that then, Ben, eh? Look at that.
Jesus. I mean, look, there are questions, of course, and I love that. It's proper critical thinking. But let's compare the conversations we're having now and the league that guy is in compared to what we've just taken for the last few years. You know, I would rather them have, 20 games in the Championship and 10 in the Premier League than, 25 games at bloody, I don't know, Halifax, United Town or whatever. It's just a totally different level of player. And
isn't it just? As somebody said in the chat earlier, I think it was Wade Beers actually. He said, we've gone from Drilling off the bench. Like last year, we had players come off the bench last year. I mean, I remember in a game, Ben, he had to bring on Miles Kenlock as an attacking option change for Stephen Ward, or Ward for Kenlock, because the squad was poultry diabolically rubbish. This year, you got Edwards going to come on or possibly start. You're going to have young players and exciting players, and players that are just so much better.
I agree, and the fan, you can tell it on the socials and everything. The fan base is excited, and it's just got me off my seat.
Ian, do you want to get me off my seat when you come on, and I would go home.
Comment of the night there.
As always, guys, celebrate the good times with Away Day Beers, a partner of Talking Town. $14.99 for the ITFC Legends Pack. I got a feeling some of these players here in 10, 15 years' time, looking back, you'll be saying that was the start of a journey where is left to be determined. But you can enjoy the beer along the way and celebrate the journey that the club has been on, from Boncho to Pablo, from the beat. Hoppy Robson, yes. Oh, I've got a tragic story about Hoppy Robson.
You spilled it?
No, I had so I poured it Saturday night, put it on the side, started drinking it. Beautiful. Anyway, bedtime come around, went to the kitchen, let the dog go out to his loo, came back in. The bottle's on the side, so I picked it up. There's nothing in it, and I was like, "Oh no, I finished it." So I'm drinking this bottle. Literally, there was drips coming out of this bottle, but it's so good. This Hoppy Robson, you want to get every last. Yeah,
I love those drinks.
Next morning, I come downstairs, and on the side, I'd left half of it in the living room, Ben. And then I looked at it and said, "Is that my beer?" And the wife went, "Yeah." And I went, "Oh, okay." I picked it up. She went, "You're not going to drink it this time in the morning, are you?" I was like, "Oh yeah, probably better not to." But it's that good. You're like, "Oh, miss some of it."
Look, have it with Weet-Bix, man. Robson will be proud. Absolutely lovely.
It's that good. You can't let a drop go wastefully. I tell you. Talking of drinking pints, this man here can certainly put some away, or his boy certainly can. That's the rumor on the street. Colin Plum joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Colin, you heard Chris there. You've seen the transfer business. You've seen the past. You're part of the present. How are you feeling about it at the moment, my man?
Oh, like I texted you earlier, Martin. I feel just like a kid in a sweet shop, who's got like the whole shop to pick from. No, put that money back in your pocket, young man. You can have what you like.
Ruin your teeth.
And I mean, I know, Ben, and Martin, I know, all these laughs and jokes to the Portsmouth fans. It's all rather tongue in cheek. But if I was down there, if I was down on South Coast right now, I'm trying not to laugh. Because let's face it, this has happened to us for years. So, if I was down there on the South Coast, I wouldn't be the happiest bunny. But no, going back to what you asked me, Mark, I just think, I just think it's unbelievable. I really do. Do you remember, Martin? I put on the chat, I trust Mark Ashton. Now, this was several weeks ago. Now, I question Mark, some people, and when I say some people, I mean some people, whether they trusted him as much as we did. I did. And I remember him saying not so long ago that, like I said to Rich today, that he wanted to get his business done early. Now, if he wants to get his business done early, which he's doing right now, he really needs, for me, and he's done an excellent job, that man.
I agree.
He really needs to be getting these centre backs in, because, or at least one, because after Coulson coming today and the lad from West Brom, I to be honest with you now, boys, I don't think we're far off what we need now until at least January. But I
agree. Ashton has done everything, and you speak very highly of him, Colin, and rightly so. He's done everything that he said he would do. And that's a real kind of paradigm shift from everything that's happened in Ipswich in the last 10 years. He come in, he said, I'm going to do this, and this. And he's done that, and that, one after the other. And I know there's a couple of, from his last club, people who have a few bad words to say about him. But do you know what? All of the women in our lives that we love, they've all got an ex who don't speak particularly well of them, but then they landed to us and we love them very much. So that's why I look at it, They leave somewhere for a reason, and I'm happy that we've got him. And I don't judge it on sentiment. I judge it on results. He came in and he said he's going to do a certain set of things. Well, he's done them.
And also, on that statement, Ben, and I do agree with it, there's also the well-known quote that you live, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Right now, he's the hero. In 10 years' time, who knows what Mark Ashton's popularity will be with town fan base, because over time players are sold or people are brought in that affect but right now he is the hero. Bristol City at one point it may well have been as well, and then you can forget that when you're talking about somebody. Now, when I was having an exchange, and I won't say who this person was back in the days of the early takeover, and the CEO was being talked about, that one of the major issues they were talking about was this player trading and how good this person was at not only coaching hires and things like that, but also bringing players through that were going to be better in 10 years, or selling players. Now, Flynn Downs today, £1.5 million. I feel like I should probably apologise to Swansea City fans, because we just robbed you completely blind. He's not worth £1.5 million.
Martin, can I just come in there? Am I right in saying that it's £1.5 million rising to 2 million?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm just reading it now.
Sorry, Ben. I've just got to finish there, Ben. Sorry, mate.
Go.
1.5 million rising to 2 million. That is really pulling your pants down.
Oh, it is.
Big time. And I'll tell you what, I know I'm going to get slagged off maybe in the marquee tomorrow night, right? With what I'm going to say. But what I'm going to say is my opinion. I personally think, I'm not going to say he's not a decent player. I'm Flynn Downs, and I'm not saying this because he's gone, right? But I'll tell you something for nothing. I really don't think that man's worth £2 million. That's my opinion. Now, maybe $1 million, a bit about right.
What's controversial about that? That's just a statement of fact. That's unarguable. Yeah, I agree.
Right now, in the market we're in, the press state that it is, and the year he's had, £1.5 million. I mean,
And also, Martin, can I just say another thing? You two gentlemen are far more intelligent than I am.
I wouldn't go that far, man. Jesus.
No, I mean, right?
I thought it was running Carl Walker.
Martin and Ben, can I ask you both a joint question? During this transfer window, after what we've received today from Swansea for Flynn Downs, would I be right in saying we're more or less on the level as regards monetary funds?
I was just thinking that before you said that, Colin. I'm actually doing the maths in my head, and we ain't bloody far off it, because there's two sides of it. There's the money, and there's the wages, and then the cost of the players. I think we are, and that's a transfer market miracle in this market. After this couple of years, to do what we've done takes some kind of genius to actually pull off. And if it all comes to fruition, I tell you what, the business that man has done, he will go down as another Sheepshanks. And I hate to compare him now because he hasn't earned it yet. But if it goes well in this marketplace with his business at those costs and those wages, that will be one of the biggest probably transfer windows in generations, one of the best.
What I would say is I'm not going to, I can't give you an answer, maybe as well as Ben has there. But what I would say is look at the deals that have been done. They're all 2-3 year 3-year contracts. If this club was to be as successful as we hope and pray it will be this year, I wonder what our business in the market next summer will be like based on these deals, because it looks to me from the outside looking in, we're being aggressive in a market that's depressed. We're being aggressive because we can be, and it's the right time to be. But this time next year with the championships team, hopefully, touch wood, hope and pray, we may have a squad already, Colin, and not need to go out and make wholesale changes. So we may not on paper look like we're balancing the book, but with the success that this squad should bring, that we should in time.
Do you know what, Martin? That was exactly what I was going to say. You more or less took the minds out of my brain. The words out of my brain. I actually feel right now as if, of course, we're trying to sign a team to get out of League One. But the best part about all this for me is we're trying to sign a squad that will go into the chat. It'll need fine-tuning, yes, but we're trying to sign a squad that's going to hit the ground running in the Championship.
Yeah, like Bournemouth did when they got promoted. It's great, and it's volume, it's numbers, it's quality. I tell you what, I think the only person happier than us is Chambers, because if he was still here, the amount of players that have come, he'd have to build a fucking extension on his house. So I think he's the only other person who's as happy as we are. And
also Ben and Martin, dare I say it, under Lambert, when he left Colchester when they beat Norwich 7-1, went and took Norwich over after 2 games, took them to the League One title, then done a double whammy straight through the Championship, up into the Premier League in 2 years.
Yeah.
This is what I think we're aiming for.
Well, maybe so, but let's just pump that brake a little.
I hope so. In our wildest dreams, yes.
Yeah, Mike D, got a lot of work to do. Got all these players going to get promotion, and also Hawks says a decent point. Some nonsense on here tonight, and because I think he's about upset Flynn Downs is gone, which is fair enough. He's very close to Flynn. We all have our favourites. Bart says hello from the Championship. It breaks my heart every time I see him play. People acting like won the league already. Some getting way too ahead of themselves. What I would say is if we do not go up this season, yes, it is a disaster because this squad is built for promotion and it's been put together for promotion. But that's on Cook. This squad would stay together again for another push, be more seasoned, more together, and there'll be another manager in place. And of course, anytime you don't get promotion, it's the worst thing in the world. But we've actually got an ownership and play now. They've all got 3-year deals for crying out loud. At the worst case, we've got a fairly decent squad. For
on that point, though, I take your point, and it's a point well made about, I don't think any of us are thinking we've won anything. But the difference is, and I think we're allowed to just run away a little bit of ourselves, because that's called enjoying life and football.
In August,
and we've got this one big thing this year we haven't had before, and that's hope. And hope does funny things to people, and it elevates you past where your logical brain should do. It's great. It's like the first flushes of a new relationship. It's all magical and wonderful, and you can't stop getting enough of each other. And that settles down over time. Of course it does, but I love it.
Also, Ben and Martin, I totally get Hox. I mean, Jordan, I love that guy. I really do, and I'm not just saying that. And I know that he's close to Flynn. I appreciate that. What I said about Flynn was just my opinion. I was pretty close to the Gibbs family.
Yes,
and he and now let me just this. And Liam went to down the A140. Let's just put it that way. I don't even want to say the name. Right? Now Liam went down there. Now that was his opportunity in life. You know, to go to a Premiership football club. You know? You know, absolutely. At the end of the day, let me finish, Ben. If I saw Liam up the town tomorrow in Bury, I would stop and I'd speak to him. I'd say, "Do you want to go and have a coffee?" You know,
of course.
For goodness' sake, he's done it as you know. I understand Hox's point about Flynn, 100%. Okay, you know, it's just my opinion. I think like the market as it is at the moment, like you quite rightly said, Martin, and you, Ben, I think £1.5 million for him right now is equivalent to what we was offered a couple of years ago, or whenever it was, again from Crystal Palace. Yeah. In the market as it is now, that's my opinion. I don't know whether you agree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I thought at most we'd be getting like half a million. I thought with
that's what people were saying this morning. As far as this morning, it was 500,000, 600,000 with add-ons up to £1 million.
I think 600,000, which apparently is the figure. I think 600,000 for Liam was good.
Yeah, it's true.
Personally,
I do admire your hatred for those up the A140 that you couldn't even say their name. Me and Ben looked at each other. This was three of us having a pint at a pub. We looked at each other with that look. Wow, he hates them. He really hates them.
But at the end of the day, Martin, I'd never ever hold it against Liam for.
No, you can't. Too right.
For you know trying to. Fulfill his dream, if you like. And he's now signed for a Premiership League football side. So, so in other words, he's kind of fulfilled his dream. I mean, at the end of the day, he might be signed for a club. Quite possibly, he might be signed for a club that will be playing at Portman Road next season.
Yeah.
And there's a good chance of that.
There's a very good chance of it.
When you're only paying 8 million, which I said to Rich today is peanuts. When you're only paying £8 million to Werder Bremen for a forward,
Josh Sargent,
when a certain person went to Man City about 3 days ago for 100 million, who isn't nowhere near as good as Arnold Mir and Franz Tyson, and they paid 100 million for him.
Oh, no one is.
and Norwich in the same league are paying £8 million for a person who's supposed to be trying to keep them in the Premier League. Yeah, I'm not so sure they'll be in the Premier League too long, but there you go.
Colin, as always, I absolutely love your opinion.
Love you, Colin. It's a real pleasure to meet you, Colin. That made my weekend, that did, on Saturday. I said to Dad, I want 3 points. I want to shake Colin's hand. So it's a good
I don't know if you're going. I don't know if you're going tomorrow night, but I'll be in the fan zone tomorrow night.
I'm not going tomorrow, I'm afraid, but next home game.
We'll see you tomorrow, Colin. Look after yourself. Right. Oh, sorry, Colin. Piggot on the trigger.
Guy.
Awesome guy.
He
just knows his stuff.
A good soul.
Seen it all. The good and the bad.
Yep.
Agreed. Really does. Matt Stannard. But isn't it epic? Have we actually spent anything transfer-wise? Have we broken even amazing business? It even got money for Trinidad. I know, that's amazing. Andrew, Norwich should be renamed not the Canaries, but the Yo-Yos. Are still coming straight back down again. Josh Sargent is the £8 million.
120 million a time it happens. I'll take that. Are you kidding me? God.
Yeah, absolutely. HCH9990, who also said something very accurately, I'm not that intelligent. I'm on the sofa tonight with the dog. Is money for Drennan, Hawkins, Lancaster, Bishop, Dodds, and Flynn is great in this market. It absolutely is. Saturday, obviously, you were there. Great to meet you. Great to get a show under our belt. Lots to learn from it. But something we didn't speak about yesterday's show was the strikers. Piggot and Chaplin started. And then Norwood and Bonne came on, obviously both involved with the second goal. You've now got Carl Edwards thrown into the mix.
Yeah.
What's your preferred two? And do you think it's what Cook prefers? How do you see it at the moment?
Do you know what I've got to say? Are we basing this on what I saw Saturday or just kind of generally?
Both. I want to go both.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. I would start Norwood ahead of it from what I saw when he came on. And bearing in mind, I've had issues with the guy for various reasons, but there's no denying that when he came on, it was that kind of League One guile, that gutsy kind of in their face, piss people off, the quality. He was brilliant. I thought, wow, okay, this has taken a turn. And as it turned out, done very well for us. I would like to see him and Bonne, actually. Those two look exciting. One for the brawn, one for the speed and brains. The jury is still out on Piggot, but we cannot possibly get arrogant enough where we're going to judge him on one game. He will be, I think, if we utilise a front two, will be a little enlarged. That might be him and Bonne, him and Norwood. I would put Norwood ahead of them from what I saw. I can't believe I'm saying that. But the question is, does he stay fit?
Is there a future for James Norwood at this football club now? That's what I was going to ask you a bit later on the show. We'll ask it now. Is there a future for James Norwood? Caden Jackson, I think, is already on the way out. But is there a future for James Norwood now? You've got
there's a future for anyone that plays well. Look, you come on, score 15 goals, you set other people up. There's a future for anyone. If Drennan came back and scored 20 goals, there'd be a future for him. Do the business.
But surely, from a pure numbers point of view, Ben. If you look at the squad that was there on Saturday, you've now got to add Edmondson, Edwards, Coulson to it, right?
Yeah,
we're hearing rumours on Twitter about Graham Shinney, a left-back centre midfielder from Derby, but we'll leave him out. That's three players you've got to leave out of the squad to fit those three new players in. Okay, you've got Aluko as well, 4, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Luco,
If I'm James Norwood, at my age, do I want to be A, just a part of a squad, or B, out of the squad?
It's a very easy answer to the question, Gov. The answer is that your Ipswich career is what you make of it. You want to start 40 games a season, have 40 good performances and score 18 to 20 goals. It's not a question of, am I going to be lucky to start? Am I going to put a run together? Be good. And that question takes care of itself. Everything else gets taken care of. If in that 90 minutes you're good and you justify, I don't care who starts. Score 20 goals a season, make the other players around you better, which is my big thing in football.
I just don't see it. I don't see where.
Look, I don't see it either, but I'm willing to see it if he wants to do it, and I'll applaud him and be back. But it's in his hands. It's in his hands.
I don't think it is, though. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it is. I think I'd love that from him, and I think he could do it if he's given an opportunity to. I don't know if those opportunities are going to be there now, because talking about Edwards, part of the show with Chris, needs run of games. So that's 5 games. Let's say Edwards get 5 games, right?
Yeah.
Then he doesn't cut it. So then who's coming in? Chaplin, Bonne, Piggot.
Yeah, Chaplin.
Like, at what
that's the other
point?
one, Chaplin. Yeah, Chaplin's another one.
And Fraser.
I didn't see a lot of. Okay, Fraser obviously great with the goal, but I didn't. Chaplin, I looked at, I thought, okay, nothing tearing it up. But again, we're one game into a season, and these are all strangers. But it's there for any player. The great thing about competition is it naturally elevates you. It's like a free market. If you want to compete with the competition, you've got to be better than what you are. You've got to be better than competition, and that's an upwards trajectory. So if you want to be in the squad, if you want to stake your claim, good. Be better than the 2 guys who were tearing his shirt off to be in front of you. That's great, because last season we had 1 player for every position, and we were shit. And they knew they could be shit game after game after game after game, when they'd still start. And that is what I love about this season. I think you've got a very short fuse on your detonator of bad games before you get the boot. So, I'm up for this. I've just made myself go. Goosebumpy with the thought of depth.
I'm with you. Absolutely with you 100% of the way. I don't think anybody coming in is being brought in to play third, fourth fiddle, James Norwood or Hayden Jackson. Certainly not Hayden Jackson, but James Norwood. For all of the will in the world, I see a number issue here now. When I see a headache, and if things go well, you can say to players, "Look, we're winning. You'll keep training. You'll get your chance." If results don't go so well, you will start to shuffle. And it's where you lie in that pack that you're shuffling. Like, where's James Norwood now? Is he fifth rated striker? Is he third?
Yeah, I know. I really hear that. The fact is, we actually don't know. I kind of put them all on exactly a level par. Football is a numbers game with numbers. We've had it one way, which is, we don't have any one belief beneath you. So you're going to start every game, whether you have a 1 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 game. But now it's kind of it's the embarrassment of riches, which brings its own separate pressures. And if you're Norwood, you've got to be thinking, okay, I was the main guy here last year. Jackson was, I think his head had gone by last October, as far as I was concerned. Drin and Hawkins, they're not even, up to the standard that we needed. So he was like, okay, well, I've got this. If I'm fit, I play. That's just a statement of fact. If I'm fit, I'm on. Yes. So let's now see what it's made of. This might be the thing that people question about Norwood is the character, for various reasons that have been done to death before. So I'm thinking perhaps a little bit of effort where it hasn't needed to go before. Let's see what a fit Norwood does. Let's see what a Norwood does with genuine competition. If he's a 7 out of 10 when he's fit, let's see what an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 Norwood looks like. I'm actually quite excited. If I was Norwood, I'd be really excited. I'd be thinking, right, it's this season or I'm back down to Halifax or wherever he's going to take me. I'll be up for this. I'll be waking up every morning at 5 o'clock in a gym, on a pitch, doing bloody yoga, looking after his body. This is his season. He has the history. We know the quality. Go and take it, boy. It's yours. It's yours.
James B, great point. Haven't had a team competition position for years. Mike Woods, Norwood and Jackson will be benched, but it's a long, grueling season. I'm not even sure they make the bench. That's
Jackson might even. He'll be gone.
Players want to play with good players, do their business in training. You'll get the squad or in the squad. Sorry, Fisherman, welcome in. Pep Fisherman, how you doing?
Hey, Mikey.
You've watched the show tonight. What are your thoughts on the latest news from Portman Road?
How can we not be excited?
How can we not? Exactly. Tell us, break it down for us in the only true Fisherman style that we know. Come on.
Well, look, whatever's happened with our players that have gone today, I'm not going to talk about them because, they're gone. The history.
Good. I'll bring it down. Keep it up. Keep it up. Come on.
They've gone. Get rid. Got rid. I'm happy. Whatever our opinions are, they are whatever they are. But listen, we just brought. I mean that lad. Kyle. Jesus, what a signing that is. I mean, that to me is. Look, we were saying, we need some strength and depth. Our squad has got strength and depth. I know we're a little bit weak at the back, and maybe Martin would like a new goalkeeper, but do you know what I mean? Come on, I'm going to you give me some stick. You deserve some stick after your comments about the goalkeeper. You really do.
He still should have saved both of them.
On a serious note, we need another centre back, and that's it.
Yeah,
I think we're done.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. One centre back. And that is the pieces of the puzzle done. totally agree with that, Mike.
Absolutely. We've got a jigsaw puzzle now, and we've just got one corner piece missing. And I swear to God, if I was talking to a Luton Town fan earlier, and he said, "You've got one hell of a squad there." And
with Joe Morrell from Luton still to add to it potentially. So and another player that you're gonna have suddenly we talked about that numbers game before you came on, Mike. I'm sure you're listening to the conversation there. How do you see the numbers playing out? Because even if you don't add Joe Morrell into the squad, you've got a number issue now with 3 new players coming in that you think would make the squad. So which 3 players from the matchday squad just gone doesn't make it for you?
Oh God!
It's too early to call, surely.
Penny for me is a work in progress.
I agree with that.
Wolfie for me, no. I've already said it, not good enough. So he's another player you drop. Kenlock's not going to get in the team now. Jackson's not going to get in the team now. I can't swap unless Cook decides. Norwood, oh my God! Do you know what? I think he could do a job, but he's got to curb his petulance a little bit. He got a little bit petulant, didn't he, on the game when he came on?
I felt he did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just a bit worried about Norwood's ego because obviously he came into the team, didn't he, with a sort of, with a bit of sort of
Billy Big Bollocks, yeah.
Billy Bollocks, yeah. You're right, absolutely right, Ben. Yeah, Billy Big Bollocks, and then you've got Dobra as well. I don't think Dobra makes the team now.
I read somewhere. I think it was someone who knows. Was talking to Dobra's dad, saying he's not particularly happy at the moment. He's just not getting those games. And in a smaller squad, you could say that this would be his season after what's happened, after who we got rid of. But if you're Dobra, you've got to be thinking, Jesus Christ, I've shown genuine quality when I've come on the pitch. Yeah. The fans like me, I've changed games, and now you're going bloody sign all these fantastic players. I mean, what have I got to do to get a game? I feel sorry for the boy.
Yeah, I do. I like Dobra. He's a little whippet with the ball, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He does sometimes overdo things. We know that. We see it with the way he plays. But I like that enthusiasm. I like that ability. That he has a little bit of oomph about him. Which is something which most of the team of old didn't have. But gotta say, for me, I'm just buzzing. I was talking to an Arsenal fan as well on Facebook earlier, and he was saying this is probably the best Ipswich side he's seen for years, and I have to agree with him.
Yeah.
And I know that we've got a gel, and I know we've got a people. Yeah, maybe people are getting a bit excited about are we going to win the league and everything, but we're not. I ain't gonna lie, Hawks annoyed me a little bit. Saying we're all talking, there's a bit of nonsense on it tonight. No, it's all about opinions, Hawks. Look, I know you're close to Downs and all that, but look, it's just about opinions, mate. It's nothing personal. It's a bit of banter and all that. Do you know what I mean? He talks a lot of sense most of the time, Cox, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean, Coxie? Hawks, I mean, he's a good lad. But
good lad.
Yeah, the reality
is,
saying there's a bit of nonsense on here tonight, it's just a bit of banter. Look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's football. We just got to live with it. The reality is, like I said, how can we not be excited? I am absolutely, and I kid you not, I cannot see us failing this season to go up. I'll be absolutely horrified.
Oh, don't tempt Mistress Fate. Please don't. Please don't.
No, I'll be horrified if we don't go up.
So will I. Don't tempt fate, Mike. I'm a big superstitious fan, and I hate when everyone. And you'll watch this show enough times, you'll notice when like Matt Phillips does it on a Sunday, I always go into my hands like, oh no.
I'm not saying we'll go up as champions. What I'm saying is, I think I said it the other night. I still stand by it. I still think we'll finish second, if not champions. But if we don't, it'd be a disaster.
I was talking to Cruncher at the game. I was sort of saying to him, and this is a point that I think gets missed a lot, is that despite how absolutely atrocious we were last season, with the worst squad we've probably ever had, like ever, and the embarrassment of game after game after game, that we're just sitting here, just soul destroyed, it was as low as we could be as supporters. And we're still only 8 points off the bloody playoffs. I mean, 3 wins out of all that dross. We're in the playoffs. So you're thinking, okay, 3 or 4 really good signings could bridge that gap. We've just signed so many players to hopefully go above that. Because I would argue is as bad as it was, it didn't actually need a full body transplant because we were still in and about, which probably says more about the league than the squad we have. So you're quite right. I'm thinking with the squad we've invested in, who we've gotten rid of, the money it's cost and the potential, the ages, the injury records, the goals scored, to a system that's consistent and working. I'm actually on that. I'm on that train with you, Mike. I'm thinking it should, on paper, be second place at the least. But of course, as we all know, paper and football, very, very different things.
Well,
absolutely.
45 games to play still, and then you've got your cup games and you've got your Carabao games. And this is where, like, what I call impact and fringe players who are very close to the first team can get run out and say, look, I deserve a start, And I think, that's where the strength and depth. A few weeks ago, I spoke to Cruncher and he was exactly the same. And I spoke to Mark, we are weak. We were weak with certain positions and certain sort of, there weren't enough like players that could come off the bench to sort of replace players, what we call teamers. We have that now, and none of them players should feel they're not worthy of being there. I'm with you with Dobra. I think if it's hard run for the lad, because I think there is something to player in there, but it's one of them, isn't it? It's football. It can be ruthless. It can be sometimes a little bit. Do you know what I mean? It's
look, we have been ruthless. You want ruthless? Jesus Christ! I mean, who is it? Who is a player that actually completed everything, was about to probably do the picture, and he was whipped out of the building and replaced. That's the sort of. Do you know what? Now they question that as a bit of bad form, and I'd actually agree with that. I do think, but do you know what? There's another side to that coin. That is as cold-blooded and as ruthless a move as I've ever seen it in a transfer window, and I would argue it's about bloody time. It's about time.
Sorry, Master.
He does a bit, doesn't he?
He's bushwhack, really. Look at him. He's in the jungle dungy. Oh, Mike, we do love you, man. We do love you. Look, enjoy your fishing, Mike, and we'll speak to you again another time, my man. Matt Stanhouse just knocked it out of the park. Hey, right, watching us right now on YouTube is 223 wonderful people. Could you possibly do me a favor and go and smash that thumbs up button? The more thumbs up we get, the better. We're at 36 at the moment. Set a target, Ben. 228 people now watching. Set a target.
228. Click a button. Takes half a second. Go.
You want that as the target?
Absolutely right.
Don't set the bar low, do you, Ben? I love it. Absolutely love it. So you thought it was a bit of bad practice there in terms of Jacobs. I thought that was football. Just way it goes, mate.
Not if you're that player. And I suppose maybe obviously from the individual's point of view, it wasn't great. And I think there'll be a bit of bad blood there. I don't think it helped club relations, shall we say. But the other side is about time that we were the nice boys. We were the Suffolk boys. We were the nice club, the family club. And it didn't get us anywhere for a long time. And now I'm seeing, oh, actually, no, he's better. You go.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Good. Get the better players in. And that young boy, okay, it's bad for him. But do you know what? Maybe a good lesson in there for him. So now he's pissed off. Now he's going to go back and he's going to prove us wrong for his club. So good for them, good for him. But I'm loving seeing a bit of cold-bloodedness. That's reptilian-like. And, we've been soft for too long. And, we're mid-table League One for a reason. We're too nice. And I like a bit of guile, bit of ruthlessness, bit of naughty.
This is not the team your daddy told you about. This is not the club your daddy told you about.
Absolutely
This is now a proper 21st century football club. Active in the transfer market, active in the community.
I've seen the transfer market.
Well, yeah, I know. Bent it over its knee and smacked its backside. It's shown it's who's boss. It's truly is. Absolutely. I've waited so long for this. I've waited so fucking long for this. Normally we're sitting here going, right, there's another week and a half left of the transfer market. Town may eventually sign somebody next week. Come join us again next week.
A 35-year-old squad player from Halifax United who's had 4 starts last year, but can play in both a left back and a right back. Yeah, done all that. Yeah, done it all. Let's be the team that other teams are pissed off by, rather than us being pissed off by them, and getting all these players who are thinking, oh, what if Evans would just dip his hand in his pocket? What if Evans would have done? It just seems like some distant nightmare, like a really bad ex that you're happy to break up with, and you just think, oh, thank God she didn't take the house,
Oh, no,
great.
It's worse than that. It might be. Alex Gilead is available. Yeah, Marcus Evans bringing us some striker that last scored in 2012, and trying to tell us we're going for the title.
Yeah, for the Evo Stick Pringles League, whatever it's called. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
What title are we going for, Marcus? Who, by the way, I think was there on Saturday. I have yet to hear a contrary rumour either way to it, but unless there's another guy that looks like Marcus Evans in a director's box wearing a white top and that jean combo that he's famous for.
It's ironic that he shows his face when he's actually not the owner of the club anymore. I'm not surprised. He'll probably be squad number 37 at the moment. Get a picture taken of him.
Well, he's got an interest in it, obviously, because he still has a bit part in the game changer overall entity.
It's 5%.
Yeah. If he was there, and there's no confirmation that he was. I'm just using my 2 eyes without glasses, by the way, so it could have been anybody, to be fair. If he was, I'd have liked a penny for his thoughts. 20,000 bouncing, a team that looks decent. Just a penny for your thoughts.
Well, if I was him, let's balance this right now. You're thinking, yeah, okay, if I'd have done what this town would have needed, this could have been me. Everyone's shouting about. Well, arguably, he actually did that. He sat there with the checkbooks and the money and the big signings and the big managers. He's had all that with the 23,000 players. He's sitting here thinking, I remember this. But hopefully he'll always remember why we don't have that anymore, and that's the important side. Now, I don't personally have anything against the man. I have no problem with him being a kind of a hidden, face. It's your prerogative. Some people more, I think, private than others. And he's still got a stake in the town, but he's done it with no risk. But also he got rid of the debt, which for all of the failings over a long period of time, we don't have the debt hanging over, and that could have been a lot worse of a situation. So I think a bit like when McCarthy left, it was a decision best for all parties, including Marcus himself. I think he was knackered. I think he was tired, and he'd gone to the edge of his ability on it. And hopefully, if he's a good man like I think he is, he will be looking on every week thinking, come on, Ipswich, great.
Oh, yeah, because he'll want to get a return on that investment if and when it's sold as a football club.
5% of 100 million for promotion's a lot of money.
Yeah, Matt Stannard, he's probably saying, so this is why people wanted me to not have a real CEO, not named Ian Milne. Dennis Edwards, or Leo Evans, Leo Neal, Leo Evans. I'll combine the two. Hideous. Dennis Edwards. Evans' problem was that he didn't know how to run a football club and didn't employ anyone. Right, Newport tomorrow. On to happier things. They're expecting a big change of personnel tomorrow. I would prefer it was largely the same 11, build that chemistry.
Yeah, so would I.
Keep developing it. So I just think you can't buy or sell chemistry. You develop it on the football pitch.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It should be treated as a friendly tomorrow, in my opinion, a competitive friendly. But then
look at the balance though. But then you've got with such a big squad with all these big players there, and if they're not gonna play in the league all the time, then they've got to be playing in the cup. So there you have the other side of that embarrassment of riches. Yes, I'm with you. Gel the team another 90 minutes. Maybe 6 players will learn 3 or 4 things about the person next to him. Great, that's how you develop a team. But the other side of it is those players who are on the bit. Because look, we've got all the positions. We've got Vincent Young to Donassian. We've got Evanson to Nasara, Coulson to Penny, Evans to whoever the centre mid's going to be, Fraser to Bonne, Piggot to Norwood, Edwards to Chaplin, Harper to whoever. Well, you could even argue Nolan. You've got 2 players for every position. And the danger is with trying to get that chemistry is that you do neglect the whole other side of that team. So, the best teams balance their big squads well. So, but I think on balance, I'm exactly with you, Gov. I think give those boys, give who you think will start the next league game 90 minutes. And then at 70 minutes, bring on, some newer players. But gel. We are nothing if we don't gel. We've got 11 amazing individual players and not a team.
And give a chance to. It's another 70, 80, 90 minutes on tape that you can, as a manager, argue with the player as to why you're dropping him if you need to bring in somebody like Edwards for somebody, or it's another 70, 80, 90 minutes where you can look at it and go, okay, well, this is where we need to improve, or this is what I'm getting from this player.
Or find out something really, really good. This isn't working. That's another great thing to find out when you do the two. We're talking about what works and who links up. It's a chance to find out what bloody doesn't work. I'd rather know now than 38 games into the season when we're a point off the automatic promotion teams. Now get those mistakes done now. See what's failing. Yeah. But this is now we're going to see how good Cook is. There is no excuse he can hide behind, really, is there? There's the squad, the money, the depth, the support, the goodwill of the owners and the managers. He is living in this kind of, I don't want to be like Icarus and kind of fly too close to the sun and then bounce off and burn. Failing to rise like the phoenix from the ashes. I want to see him do that. But with his job is with risk. That is a temporary period of time, and he's got to get it right. He's got everything at his disposal, and if he's as good as we think he is as Cook, we're going to see it this season. If he is as good as we think, it will be shown this year and no other. God, I hope he manages that squad well. Gel.
Well, he'll be, Well, he likes a 22-man squad, is what we've heard all summer. So, based on the number, again, without wanting to beat, the drum again, a numbers game suggests players will certainly be leaving. Maybe Ed Sheeran, I don't know. He's in the squad number.
Do you know what you want a coup? When we're kind of, third game from the end of the season, 3 points in the automatic. Get Ed Sheeran on to do a bloody, a song at the beginning of a match. You want to get 30,000 people in the stadium for the biggest game. That's how you fill 30,000. Because even my wife would come and watch Ipswich, and I couldn't pay her to come and watch Ipswich.
I've got an idea.
Go for it.
Right? When we go 4-0 up away at Pompey, bring Ed Sheeran on last 20. Make him run a channel.
Oh, that is
really.
Oh, that's awful. I don't know what's going on. Can you imagine the saltiness of that? Bring on Sheeran when we're falling up at Pompey at 70 minutes.
Can you imagine it?
You talk about this cold-blooded thing. I'm worried about you, Martin. You were never a cold-blooded guy. I'm worried about you.
Can you not stop to seeing Ed Sheeran run channels on the old town away fans? Ole, ole.
He loves that 4-4-2. I'm in love with the shape of you because I play in a 4-4-2.
Oh, it's going to be
everywhere now.
You have make sure you don't get it in your eyes wherever you
do.
Ronnie, stick Sheeran on there goalie from corners. Absolutely. It's all about bad habits, isn't it? Right. He'll probably score. Oh, can you imagine the assault intensify if he did? I know it's all pie in the sky, but wow. I mean, that joke was as good as our recent celebrity fan. Did you see this at the weekend, Ben?
I did. I love that guy. He's in my favourite film, The Mummy. If anyone watched The Mummy and with Brendan Fraser, he was the slave owner, the one who kind of
Is he?
Yeah. He is, and he goes. He gets killed by a mummy and everything. But one of my favourite films. I thought, oh my god, that's awesome. I mean, who are we going to get in next? I mean, geez, I want to see Gerard Butler in section 6. You know, it's this is Ipswich. Oh, can you imagine the celebrities we're going to have coming in, man? It's ridiculous. I thought I saw Tom Cruise at the burger stand behind Churchman's at the weekend. It's just something I heard. You know, who knows?
Oh, it's August. We're drinking Kool-Aid like it's going out of fashion.
Oh God, yeah. We're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Don't forget, you can grab a decent drink from HAYDENCOULSON. Not that Kool-Aid isn't. I've never had it. I can't comment. Jason, well, I've never had it. I can't comment. But Away Day beers I've had in there, bountiful. Make sure you grab them. $14.99 for a Legends pack, Fridge pack, ITFC pack. But that's it. We're back tomorrow. Pre-game from the fan zone. Post-game from Sir Ralph. Football's back. We're signing players left, right, and centre. And tonight, somewhere in Portsmouth, there's a fan crying himself to sleep. I mean, maybe. They've always got Jacobs. I mean, look on the bright side. You've not sold Jacobs. I mean,
pretty good, isn't it? Not a bad week's trading.
Not a bad week's trading. Love it. Score prediction tomorrow as we leave. Then Ben.
I'm actually gonna go 3-1. I can't tell you who's gonna start, but I'd like to think the height of Piggot, if he does what I think he's gonna do, supporting a little striker, I'd like to see Piggot get 1 or 2 if he starts. I think their backline's not as high as you think they are looking at them today. So 3-1.
3-1. Michael Finch is going to be there tomorrow. If you are there tomorrow, do come and say hello to us in the fan zone. And Sir Ralph, come on, even if you don't want to get involved in the camera, perfectly understandable. But come around, watch how the show is done, add a bit of atmosphere to the camera. Oh, also don't forget, we've got our Fearsome 4 competition running. Week 2, league table is going to take a little bit longer to be prepared. Over 70 names, Ben, from week 1. Absolutely amazing. I know. However, 70 names, but only 6 people picked up points. The points they picked up, 3 points. So, even if you took part and you got 0, you're only 3 behind. If you didn't take part, you're 1 prediction away this week from equaling them. That's Burton, Ipswich, Colchester versus Northampton, Norwich versus Liverpool, Accrington Stanley versus Cambridge, and the wild card this week is our friends Trimmy Red Devils against Copplestonians from the SIL. 5 games. Predict the score correctly. Each one you get right, 3 points. So from last week, not many people did it. The link is now in the chat. For those watching back, it is in the comments pinned. Get predicting. They will close come Saturday morning. Norwich Liverpool, Ben. Do you think it's going to be double figures?
It better be. I could do with a laugh. It's only Monday, but it's been a long week so far. Let's get 7 or 8. Come on, Liverpool. Let's take some anger and frustration out, shall we?
Well, Ian's gone scum 1, Liverpool 7. I mean,
yeah, not a bad shout.
Get it in the predictions there, Ian, and you never know. You could be on the way to winning our first spot prize, which I'll announce very soon. But for now, Ben, thank you for joining me. Chris, the most opinionated man in English football, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Shake that salt, Ben.
We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but feels like we're learning to be better without what's been holding us back now.